My family abandoned me at 17 with a note saying, "You'll manage somehow." Now they want back in because I'm a millionaire. So I brought a legal case against them. When I was 17, my family moved 2 states away without telling me. They left a letter that read, "You'll figure it out." 12 years later, after I'd made it without them, they reached out to reconnect. When I was 17, I returned to a completely vacant house with a note on the kitchen counter. It was the cruelest thing I had ever read. It simply said, "You'll manage somehow." I wasn't sure what I'd done wrong. I assumed they were tired of pretending to care about me. But the truth was that they had never pretended. When I was 13, I cooked a birthday dessert for my mother by myself, only to have her describe it as clumpy. At 15, I taught my brother through his finals while he called me a know-it-all and slammed the door in my face. At 16, I gave my entire paycheck to my father so he could pay bills. But when I brought it up later, he exploded on me because he felt I was useless. I was always useful but not liked. My parents and brother, my only family, had packed up and relocated 2 states away without informing me. I found out from the landlord a week later. They canceled the lease early, so I had a week to move out. I spent 3 nights at a friend's house before running out of places to go. I ended up sleeping in the rear of a storage container that I had rented with my last savings. I snuck into the YMCA and showered, ate peanut butter with a spoon for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, used free library computers to apply for employment, and pretended everything was fine. Eventually, I was recruited as a diner server for the night shift. The manager was stern but fair, and he paid me cash beneath the table until I could obtain an ID. She allowed me to rest in the staff room once when I was practically exhausted. I fought my way through it, purchased a prepaid phone, recorded every single receipt, and watched free YouTube videos on budgeting and goal planning. I barely survived my first year, but I got through it. The turning point came when a regular at the diner gave me a temporary job cleaning office files. It paid 3 times what I made. I said yes. That job led to another, then another. I learned quickly, arrived early, and asked questions. By the age of 22, I was working full-time as a freelancer. By the age of 25, I had started a consultancy firm for myself using a folding table and a borrowed laptop. By the age of 27, I had 5 contractors under my supervision, my own office, and a customer list that encompassed companies I had never imagined. By the age of 29, I had officially achieved millionaire status. Not an important millionaire, not a fake it for Instagram wealthy, but true savings, a retirement account, no debt, a paid-off apartment, and affordable health insurance. I wept the first time I saw my bank app hit 7 figures. During those difficult years, my family never contacted me once. My brother once appeared in a suggested friends list. He is now married and still lives in the state where they disappeared. I stared at the computer for a long time, wondering whether he ever informed his wife about me, if he said I fled, or if he said nothing at all. Sometimes I wonder if hating them would have been easier. But truly, it was never hatred. It truly broke my heart. I go to therapy now because I want to remain intact. I've compiled a list of people who saved me when they didn't have to, including coworkers, classmates, and strangers who demonstrated what true support looks like. Last week, a podcast interview I recorded about surviving family estrangement went viral. It surpassed 1 million views in 4 days. My email is full of notes of encouragement, thanks, and strangers telling me I've put voice to their grief. Then one email stood out. The subject line reads, "You're still our daughter." It was from my mother. There was no apology, just a paragraph about listening to my point of view and possibly talking. Then came another message, this time from my brother. "We miss you. Can we fix this?" I stared at the screen for a long time before shutting down the laptop. I sat with it and wondered whether mending entails looking back or forward. I didn't answer immediately. I needed time to process. My therapist, Melissa, suggested that I wait at least a week before making any decisions. Give yourself space to feel whatever comes up, she advised throughout our session. There's no rush to respond. So I did. I concentrated on work, went to the gym, and ate dinner with friends. But those emails haunted me. I kept opening them, reading them, and then closing them again. My mother's reply felt cold and professional, as if she were writing to a distant acquaintance. My brother's was shorter, but seemed more genuine. I cannot quit thinking about them. After 10 days, I decided to respond to my brother first. Just something simple. I wrote to myself, "It's been 12 years. What changed?" Then I pressed submit before I could overthink it. He responded within an hour. He claimed the podcast made him comprehend what they had done. He claimed he was only 15 when they abandoned me, that he had no option, that he had always wondered about me, and that he had looked me up online a few times over the years, but never had the confidence to contact me. He was happy to see me achieve it. I didn't buy it totally. If he was so concerned, why wait until I had achieved public success? So I asked him directly. His subsequent email was longer. He revealed that money was tight for them. My parents' business had failed. His wife was expecting their second kid, and medical bills were piling up. I felt my stomach drop. That was the actual cause. I did not reply for another week. Then my mother sent a follow-up email with old family photos attached, including pictures of me as a newborn, us at the beach when I was about 5 or 6, and Daniel and I creating a snowman. Happy times that seemed to belong in someone else's life. She stated at the bottom of the email, "We made mistakes. We want to make amends." I shared Melissa's emails during our next session. She pointed out to me that I had control, that I could set limits, and that I owed them nothing. However, she said that closure, whether in the form of reconciliation or a final goodbye, would help me move forward. I nodded, but within I was conflicted. Part of me wanted to tell them to go to hell. Another part wanted to know why they abandoned me. And a tiny dumb part of me still wished they would love me. I planned to meet my brother first with no parents. We planned to meet at a coffee shop in Chicago about halfway between our homes. I flew in the morning, booked into a hotel, and attempted to relax. I almost cam-led 3 times, but at 2 p.m., I strolled into the coffee shop and noticed him right away. He appeared older and heavier with a receding hairline, but his eyes remained the same. When he spotted me, he stood up awkwardly and unsure. I did not hug him. We just sat across from each other, holding our coffees like strangers. The first 20 minutes were spent making awkward small conversations about the weather, my travel, and his drive. Then he began apologizing. "Ava, I'm sorry," Daniel whispered, his voice cracking. "I was just a kid when it happened. I didn't know they were planning to leave you behind until it was too late. I was too scared to stand up to them." I simply listened, scanning his face for clues of dishonesty. He was earnest, but I'd been duped before. I asked him the question that had been bothering me for 12 years. Why me? Why was I left behind? He looked down at his coffee. "They always saw you as the strong one, the independent one, the one who would be fine on your own. They thought you didn't need them as much as I did. They convinced themselves you'd be better off without them." That was the most ludicrous thing I had ever heard. I told him about the storage unit. Weeks of eating peanut butter, showering at the YMCA, and working night shifts at the age of 17. His face crumbled. "I didn't know," he muttered. "They told me you had a plan, that you wanted to stay behind, that you were going to live with a friend's family, that you'd chosen to separate from us. All falsehoods." By the end of our meeting, I didn't know what to think. He appeared genuinely remorseful. He showed me images of his wife and children, explained his position as an accountant, and inquired about my business. He did not outright beg for money, which shocked me. He hugged me as we separated. I allowed him to hug me, but I did not reciprocate. I just stood there, arms by my sides, feeling nothing. Back at the hotel, I called Melissa and told her everything. She pointed out that while my brother appeared sorry, he was still portraying himself as a victim rather than admitting his role in my abandonment. She was correct. He was 15, not 5, old enough to pick up the phone, send an email, and check in on me after 12 years. That night, my mother called. I hadn't given her my phone number, so Daniel must have. I almost did not respond, but curiosity won out. Her voice sounded older and raspier. When I said hello, she burst into tears and began telling me how proud she was of me, how she had always known I would succeed, and how special I was. I allowed her to talk herself out. Then I asked her the same question I had asked my brother. "Why me?" Her response was different. "We were in debt, Ava. We couldn't afford 3 mouths to feed. We knew you were smart enough to make it on your own. We figured you'd go to social services and get placed with a better family. We thought we were doing you a favor." I ended the call on her, blocked her number right away, threw my phone across the room, and screamed into a pillow. The next morning, I received an email from my father, our first contact in 12 years. He did not apologize. Instead, he wrote about how difficult their lives had been, about medical bills and failed businesses, about Daniel's wife needing surgery, and about their impending eviction. Finally, he asked if I could help the family. Not a single question about my life, not a single acknowledgement of what they'd done. I forwarded the email to Melissa with the subject line, and there it is. She called me immediately despite it being Sunday. We talked for an hour about boundaries, about forgiveness versus reconciliation, about the difference between helping someone and enabling them, about what I actually wanted versus what I thought I should want. By Monday morning, I had made my decision. I emailed my brother, told him I was glad we'd met, that I understood he was in a difficult position when we were younger, that I was willing to have a relationship with him and his family, but with clear boundaries. No money, no loans, no financial support of any kind, and no relationship with our parents until they took full responsibility for their actions. His response was immediate and telling. "I'm really disappointed, Ava," he wrote. "Our parents really need help. Families should support each other. You're being selfish with your success." All the guilt buttons they'd installed in me as a child pushed at once. I didn't respond. Instead, I booked an appointment with Melissa and a vacation to Bali. I needed space to process everything. 3 days later, Daniel called, left a voicemail apologizing for his email, said he understood my position, said he still wanted a relationship on my terms, said he'd respect my boundaries. I listened to it twice, trying to decide if he was sincere or just changing tactics. I decided to give him one more chance, but with my guard up, I went to Bali anyway, spent 2 weeks on the beach, hiking through rice fields and meditating. I needed the distance. When I got back, I had 6 more emails from my dad, each more desperate than the last. I didn't read past the subject lines. I also had a text from Daniel asking if we could talk again. I agreed to a phone call, nothing more. The call started. "Okay." He apologized again for pushing. "I've been thinking a lot about what you told me." He said, "I'm seeing a therapist now, too." I believe that part. He sounded different and less defensive. We talked about his kids, about my business, normal stuff. Then he mentioned that our parents were coming to visit him next weekend. Asked if I would consider meeting them just for an hour in a public place. I felt my chest tighten. "I'm not ready for that, Daniel." He pushed a little but backed off when I got quiet. After we hung up, I called Melissa. We had an emergency session that night. She helped me realize what scared me of seeing them, not because I hated them, but because I still craved their approval. Still wanted them to love me. Still wanted to be enough. It was pathetic, but it was true. I cried for an hour in her office. The next day, Daniel texted again. Said our mom was crying all night after he told her I wouldn't meet them. Said our dad was talking about driving to my city anyway. I felt panicky, blocked Daniel's number immediately. Then I called my assistant and told her I was working from home for the week, ordered groceries for delivery, and basically hid in my apartment like a scared kid. And just when you think it couldn't get any crazier, there's more. Part 2 is where things really start to unravel. And trust me, you won't believe what happens next. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're the first to know it drops. Drop your theories in the comments below. I want to see who can guess the twist. See you in part 2.